Um, so cities, one thing coming from IKEA was that there was a lot of animosity towards people taking guild skills and then leaving their city. For instance, the occultists in IKEA used to be, I doubt if it's that way anymore because of their house system, but it used to be that an occultist that left the city had access to all their skills, and that would sort of piss off the occultist guild.
Mm,
With power, there's not that same animosity because if you leave your city, you get cut off from that power source,
yeah.
and certain skills require power from that city. So while being a rogue is possible, it's not really recommended
Well,
because
yeah.
you don't have access to all your skills.
The only thing that I could relate that to in IKEA would be, for example, necromancy or devotion. You can be excommunicated from your ability to use those particular skills if
Right.
you oppose that particular city that has control over that particular like set of skills. So it's
And
similar.
another thing is that I don't know if you know, but I was the designer for the skill set of occultism in IKEA,
Yes,
and
fancy
one
that.
of the one of the things I wanted to do was to help keep occultism in the city. So we had a book, and I at this time forget
The
how.
echelon, right, or
Yeah,
echeton or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you needed to have access to that book to do some of your skills or something like that.
yeah. Well, you needed that, but you needed to put your karma items in that book or something so you could get enough karma, then you could
Right.
use your skills. They've changed that now. As a rogue occultist, you can now study karmic items outside of the guild, so the guild doesn't really control that anymore in IKEA, although I'm sure they would like to.
Yeah, one of the things coming from IKEA is I really, really liked the guild system, but I really did not like how players could be very exclusive with guilds and make it difficult for new players to come in and join the guild. I think that's the reason why IKEA went to the house system, and I think some of the other
Yeah,
games do some other things.
right.
So
Now that's not the case for new players. You can now join a class and learn the skills
right,
separate from being in a what is now called a house instead of a guild.
right.
Yeah.
So when I designed Lusternia, I wanted to keep the guild system, but make it very, very accessible for new players and tie them in with the cities that they were housed in. And um, and I think that works out. It worked out pretty well.
Right.
For example, you actually join a guild when you make a new player, and you are automatically advanced as a full guild member just through amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
The guild can prevent you from advancing, but they can't. But they have to work at it.
Right.
Whereas in the old guild system in like IKEA, the only way you could advance is if a guild master or a high level guild person helps you advance.
Right.
So it was sort of a different twist on it that very, very well. And I'm pleased we're able to serve the guild system accessible for new players and to keep them centralized to the cities and colonies that they're in.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the great advantages that Lusternia is offering players. One of the other things that I wanted to get on the topic of, while we're on the topic of combat, and we haven't gotten too far off that, you
Mm-hmm.
guys have a feature called First Aid, which I'm told automatically heals
Mm-hmm.
someone. So if you're a new player, you can actually heal your afflictions, so to speak,
Right.
without knowing all the ins and outs of combat and healing, and it
Yeah.
helps maybe get up to speed, gives you kind of a little less of a learning curve there.
Right. You don't need a system. You can just use the first aid. You still need the potion or the herbs or whatnot
Mhm.
to heal certain afflictions, but as long as you
Right.
have them accessible in your inventory, first aid will start healing them. Now that doesn't take the place of systems. Nothing will be a good system with triggers and whatnot, but it definitely does help new players uh, with the healing and getting used to how the system works.
Right. One of the things that we're going to work on focusing on and having the producers help us with these videos in the future is to help new players get up to speed faster. And I think features like that being talked about, I mean, someone might be playing Lusternia and not even know that feature exists.
Oh, I hope not.
So, well, you'd be surprised just, what people discover because they watch these videos. And I think that's one of the things that we're offering people is a little more information that maybe they didn't know. So,
Well, I think for first aid, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Sior, who is our
hmm.
coder that actually designed and coded that.
Oh, okay.
Um, but for first aid, I believe it's a skill, it's a low level skill in one of the general skill sets, and it's also an achievement. So I think it's difficult not to know about it because it's achievement that you try to get the skill, and I think we even after you get it, we give you the lessons that you put into it. So it's kind of a
It's a freebie.
freebie, yeah.
That's good. I know that those things are helping new players get up to speed faster. So we've talked about that you've got a lot of unique guilds, a bunch of unique skills. You didn't copy other games. One of the things I wanted to talk about was maybe some of the challenges that Lusternia faces now. You guys obviously have, a good player base. You're always looking for new players. What is it that you find challenging about getting players to come over to Lusternia? What have you heard as far as feedback? Do you think there are certain things that keep people around and certain things that maybe make it difficult to stay? Or can you give us a feel for what you've seen from the admin level?
We're always looking to get new players. The more players we have, the more we can do new guilds or cities or that type of expansion
Right.
where you need players to fill those positions. Um, there is a steep learning curve, as I said before, because each guild is unique, and there's like I think 5 guilds per organization potentially. Some of the newer cities don't have all 5, and there's 6. So there's a lot of different skills to
Yeah.
know and different. Uh, what was the question?
Well, just what are the challenges that you find in keeping new players and
Oh,
also
it's keeping.
and also in getting players to come to Lusternia and experience it, you kind of both sides.
I think for all text games, there's a huge wall to get over for new players that aren't used to text,
Right.
and that's the main thing. I've always said I I wasn't really sure how long text mods would survive with
Yeah.
the World of Warcraft and the graphic app, but as much as people like going to movies and watching TV, they still like to read novels
hmm
and other type of creative writing. So there's definitely a niche for text games for people that like to read and write and use but it's a hurdle to get those people sort of get used to the text modes,
Right.
especially during combat. And I'm sure if you've been in combat, the scrolling of the text is just can get so insane that it's hard to even know what's going on.
Right.
That graphic mods have or graphic games have a advantage over because visually you can kind of see what's going on rather than
Mm.
trying to keep up with the scrolling of a text.
Yes,
Um,
that is a challenge, and that challenge is attempted right now. There's some people at work right now in IKEA, and I don't know if that is the case yet in all the games that are attempting to actually fix that particular problem, the scrolling issue, by using some of the newer software programs out there now, like Mudlet, to filter some of that spam, you might call it that text spam, to another window, so that
right.
you maybe as a player will see just the interactions between you and the people that you're interacting with during a combat scenario, whereas all the other stuff, you might say the fluff and the extra information is all on another window that you can look at, but it doesn't distract you from what you are actually attempting to do or what's being done to you personally. So I know that that kind of a system is being worked on right now by people in IKEA, and there's probably people that have already implemented it for their own personal systems. but I've been told by some of the players that I've been in contact with that they're working on making that more available to the public. So
Yeah, I think we actually have a skill, and I forget what it's called, but it's where you focus just on your own combat, so you can, cut out everything
oh
else and
really? Yeah.
just see you and your own thing. It's kind of dangerous, or it's kind of risky because sometimes you need to see what else is going on,
Hmm.
but a lot of people do use that to help with the spam issue.
Oh wow! So you guys actually implemented a feature. Do you know what that feature's called, or how to activate that, or is that just,
Um,
or you just know it's there?
I know it's there. I want to say it's called concentration, but I know that's not the right word, but it's a
Yeah,
synonym for that. But it's definitely in the game, and it's a skill
I'm sure
that
we'll see it in the comments for
yeah.
this video. So, questing, I've heard and I've seen from my experience in Lusternia, is a huge part of the game. I mean, there are people who have done 40 or more quests, it seems, and they get honor for doing each of them attached to their character. Like,
Yeah.
what is your feel for quests? Do you feel like Lusternia is in the process of building new quests right now, or are they working on fixing miswoven quests or quests that are still being worked on? Like, how is the game right now in terms of quests and what's available?
Well, coming over from IKEA as a building manager, one of my big goals was to make quests very important, very complicated,
Yeah,
uh, for those people that like to do questing.
right.
And I was one of those players that like to do questing, so that's something I wanted to give. And if you're a new player, to give an introduction to that is I tried to make the newbie area, which is called Newton Caverns, to be give the full quest deal. There's actually you could get honor quests in the newbie area. There are I think 3 different levels. Uh, so quests have always been very important to me, and I don't really believe in bashing areas. Which is it'd be
Right.
easy to take 200 rooms and put in, a bunch of different mobs for you to bash. I never liked those types of areas,
Mm-hmm.
and we've never put them in Listernia. Every area we have has a story, has a good quest. Usually, most areas have honor quests, as you pointed out, and we're always expanding. We have areas in development now. Um, can't really say I don't like pre-releasing what we're going to do because sometimes we change our ideas or sometimes the person is or uh,
Yeah.
doesn't finish reason. But all these areas and quests in development
Mm-hmm.
always.